All these cheating stories are depressing. Does Reddit have stories of where they could have cheated but didn't? So I was in a relationship that was about to be over. It just got to the point that neither one of us was happy, but it was still lingering on. Anyways, I was shooting pool one night with one of my buddies, much older than me and married, so not competition, and he knew this smoking hot chick at the bar, so we all wound up playing pool all night. So this hot chick is being really flirty with me, but I just shrugged it off. But when the bar closed, we all decided to go get breakfast. As we're heading out the door, I suddenly get this weird kinda date Y vibe. So I stop, pull this girl aside, and tell her, look, I don't know if this is even presumptuous to be saying, but here's the deal, I'm in a relationship. We're kind of on the rocks right now, but still, I have a girlfriend and I just wanted to let you know before we go anywhere. So she was just like, oh, okay. We ate breakfast across the table from one another, shook hands afterwards and went our separate ways. Fast forward a month, I break up with my girlfriend. Fast forward another month, I am dating the same smoking hot chick from the bar. Fast forward till now, we're in a great relationship and both of us know for a fact that the other one would never, ever cheat. Also, we're getting married. TLDR. Didn't cheat on my girlfriend, even though the relationship was almost over anyways. Wound up engaged, a girl I didn't cheat on her with. Not engaged but had a very similar situation myself. Demonstrations of character like this can be very attractive to the opposite sex. I was approached by my girl's best friend Jessie a couple weeks ago when she saw me out at the bar with my friends. She joined us for a drink, and when my friends were either up at the bar grabbing more drinks or singing karaoke, she made it clear in no uncertain terms that she would rock my world and was much better in general than my. So I'll admit I did suspect a trap, but even then I'm not the type of guy to cheat. So I told her that I was happy with who I'm with and wasn't interested. I told my girl about it the next day and it caused a bit of a fight between us since she's been friends with this girl since elementary school. After about a week of receiving the cold shoulder from her, she came to me and apologized after finding out from another of her friends that she had caught Jessie in bed with her boyfriend. We had an impromptu after party at a bar the night of my best friend's wedding. My wife had to leave for a business trip early the next morning, so she went back to another friend's house to go to sleep. The rest of us rolled into the bar still decked out in wedding gear, buying shots, having fun, and tearing up the dance floor. A random attractive woman came up and started dancing with me and then pulled me close and started grinding against me. I took a step back, held up my hand and said, "Hey, I'm married." She winked, smiled, grabbed my butt, and said seductively, "But your wife's not here, is she?" "No, but my mom is." I pointed to my mom dancing a few feet away, and the woman bolted and then went on to hook up with another one of the groomsmen. I hate that mentality. Your so isn't here, so it's magically not cheating. I sometimes get guys come on to me in clubs and things, and when I tell them I'm not interested and have a boyfriend 9/10 times I hear that line, "Now I'm even less interested in you than I was to begin with, you disloyal douche." Had the opportunity to cheat on my wife with a former friend of hers. I drove her to pick up her car. She wanted to show appreciation when we got there. I said, "I think it's time for you to get in your car. Nothing staggering here, but I'm still damned proud that I did this." I travel a lot with work all over the world, primarily however to Russia, Europe and Philippines. Over the last 6 years I've lost count of the number of girls I've been chatting to in bars who seem surprised that I actually do just want some conversation and a drink. Traveling solo sucks when you do it a lot. I love my wife. I'm exceedingly happy with our relationships and have a gorgeous 13-month-old daughter who is now happily walking around calling me daddy. I find this very admirable because no one would ever know if you did anything with another girl while you were out of the country, yet you still hold strong. I see girls all over the place. I don't talk to most of them. I then think good on you. JJ 6521. I'm so dedicated. Same. It's by choice I don't talk to girls cause. Last night in a dream, Ice Cube asked if he could frick me. I said, "I'm sorry, Ice Cube, I'm engaged," and then he melted. I was visiting my best friend. We've been friends for over 15 years now, and I was crashing at his pad for a few days. One day I'm sleeping, after we had had a good night of drinking and catching up, and his girlfriend comes to wake me up because she was bored. I'm not stupid. When a girl walks into the second bedroom of a house, wakes a guy up who is in his underwear, and she herself is in her underwear, only her underwear, I know what's up. I noped. Because she was bored. That also is a huge female come online. The times where I have either been at a woman's house or she was at mine and she said I'm bored. All I'd have to say is well then, let's fool around, okay? I really haven't ever been offered the opportunity in order to turn it down. Loyal partner is sad now. You're so loyal, you're not even creating opportunities to turn it down. Have an upvote. About 2 years after I got married, my I was still in college at the time, asked me to stay after class with her. Thinking she wanted to discuss some of my work, I approached her after class had ended and everyone had left, and she asked me to come over to her house at night to study. I told her that would be inappropriate since I was married, so she pressed the issue by telling me I would get an A if I did come over. I still told her no thank you and left, and we didn't talk privately again the whole semester. She was a very attractive, fit woman too, so it's not like I turned down the advances of someone I wasn't attracted to, and I gave up an easy A as well. So there are some people who despite temptation have no problem staying faithful to their significant other. PS. I still did well in the class and got an A. Man, during TAE training, they say in no uncertain terms if you get reported doing that you will be fired. I never had an opportunity to shoot down my freshman girls. Well, romantically, physically anyway. Some of their grades got shot down, a lot. I got married at 24 to a wonderful woman a few years younger than me. After being married several years she got really sick. Months of confusion and misdiagnosis ensued, but eventually she was found to have stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. Everything went straight to heck. Chemo, radiation, long hospital stays, and the ever-present stress of knowing she was going to die at any given time. It was pure heck. Freaking was off the table entirely because of all this. Not her fault, but it was no easy thing to curb my libido. I worked retail in a large mall at the time. You meet a lot of people working in a mall. I knew probably a dozen or so very attractive young women who from time to time would show interest in me. I decided to tell them about my circumstances, thinking that would make them understand that I was taken. A big mistake. I guess the sympathy factor made me more desirable, not the reaction I was expecting. They would come on very strong, very forward, at every possible opportunity, and I admit I was sorely tempted. Not in an emotional way, but very much so in a physical way. It took all my self-control to turn down some of these occasions. I'm glad I never did cheat. It would have taken me away from my wife in what was her last days. I stayed with her to the very end, even watching her die in front of me, knowing that I could have cheated and she would never have known. But I would have known. It's been done to me and I never want to visit that kind of pain or betrayal on someone. I locked that part of me up so tight that I couldn't allow myself to pursue sex for a very long time even after she was gone. I have no regrets. Respect. I was playing strip poker with some girls I met during my first week at college. We were pretty drunk and I could easily have seen their cards, but I chose not to look. I don't know whether to trust you with that username. However, I am still going to throw up votes at you charmer. I was on holiday on a Greek island about 5 years ago and met this amazing guy, also from England. We had this instant connection. We stayed up all night one evening just talking and watching the sun rise over the beach, and we used to have the most intense conversations. I had a boyfriend back home, so nothing ever happened. He understood and was so great about it, though it hurt us both. I felt guilty spending so much time with someone who I was both physically and emotionally attracted to. When we both left to fly home we did swap numbers, but we didn't stay in touch. It wasn't right. Anyway, fast forward a few months and I discover that boyfriend had been cheating on me steadily throughout with a whole variety of women. It broke my heart. I spent so many unhappy months with him because I was young and thought I was in love and scared of being alone. And the hardest thing was realizing I had missed a real opportunity with someone potentially very special. I'm glad I didn't cheat. Physically, one could argue I had a brief emotional affair, which is a completely fair criticism, but it still bothers me to this day. You should watch Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. 2 years ago for Halloween, I was dressed up as Dr. House. There was a really vivacious drunk nurse at the club and she started talking to me, which isn't something I'm really used to. She said, "OMG, I love House." Then she came right up to me and whispered into my ear, "I know you want me." I just said no thank you. I have a girlfriend and we went our separate ways. Said girlfriend broke up with me less than a week later. I was at a bigger music fest one time, about 6 months into what would become a 5-year relationship. I had an old army tent set up specifically to smoke up in. These 3 hot hippie chicks would come hang out with us each day, and I would smoke them out. Never charge them anything, because that is not something to put a price on. We had a great time. On the last day, we were passing one around in the tent and one goes, "You know, we really appreciate you smoking us out like this. So we decided on a good way to pay you back since you won't take our money." 2 of them took their tops off and the third started crawling over towards me. Frick, this hurts to type. I said, "God damn it, I can't do this." And I stepped out of the tent immediately. It actually ruined the rest of my day. Here I am with this girlfriend who was 100% passive about fricking, who wasn't there for the weekend, who didn't like giving BJs, and I turned down a fricking FFMF foursome with 3 remarkably hot hippie chicks. I was just so goddamned bitter, and I wish I had a happy ending to this story, but this girlfriend is now an ex-girlfriend. She wasn't as well disciplined as I was, apparently. I shed a dong tear for you, bro. I'm currently in love with my girlfriend. She is probably the best thing that has ever happened to me, etc. What I find weird is that now that most people know we're together, I am getting hit on a lot more by women, and a couple of gay dudes. I don't know what it is. Maybe being in a great relationship has given me a confidence boost and others find the confidence attractive. That's totally a thing. I've always noticed that way more women come on to me when I'm in a relationship. I think it is partly a confidence thing and partly the fact that you aren't trying too hard to win them over, so they want to try harder. Well, my partner and I are seemingly attractive lesbians. Every now and then we'll, either together or separately, meet someone who wants to experiment. Neither one of us take up the offers and end up finding someone else for them to hook up with. The latest one was a work acquaintance. She is married with children and promptly told me that she finds both me and my partner extremely attractive and wants to sleep with us. I am sometimes bothered that straight folks think that if we are gay that we are promiscuous and have no relationship boundaries. GG, lesbians don't want to sleep with you, but find you someone who is. Much respect for everything in there. Man, I am such a P, I can't even cheat in my dreams. When I have an almost wet dream and it is about to get hot, I think in my dream, "You can't do this to your girlfriend." I wish I was joking. I generally try to avoid situations where I might even be tempted. I don't think I could ever do that anyway, but I'm a big fan of multiple levels of defense anyway. It helps that I'm balding 30 something of middling height who doesn't really like to drink or go out much and drives a really boring car. That's my first layer of defense. I've been gaining weight, exercising less and dressing worse lately to further strengthen my defenses. I hope my so appreciates all my efforts. Hahaha, you win the internet for today, my friend. You win. Used to live 2 years on a heck lot of MDMA, ecstasy, and shitload of freaking. Now, since 2 years no more clubbing and since 1.5 years a girlfriend, where I often struggled with the monogamy and all that stuff. Fast forward last month, was at one of my favorite clubs again, just sitting there. Girl passes me, looks at me, passes me again and finally sits next to me. "Can I kiss you?" Insta boner. No, just a kiss. No, I am in a relationship. Come on, we're not talking about fricking. I just want to kiss you. Still no. Mind you, all of that while being fricking wasted and on my own, so no witnesses. Since that moment I do not question the relationship with my girlfriend anymore. It was 6 days before my wedding. I was already trying on my ring and wearing it most days. On this particular day, I had to take a train down to the city for work. I was worried about losing my ring because it was a little large for my finger, so I decided to leave it at home. On the train ride down, something unusual happened. A very pretty young woman sat next to me. No one ever sits next to me on the train. I was reading a book, and she asked about it. No one ever talks to me on the train. I'm a small, unremarkable man. I don't remember the questions she asked, but I do remember they were insightful. I was really intrigued. Our conversation grew and developed to the point that I forgot about the book, or even that I was on the train. We talked all about each other. She looked me right in the eyes when we spoke. She casually touched my arm at least twice. Abruptly, we pulled into Grand Central Station and had to leave the train. We kept up our conversation on the way out of the train and walked out into the middle of Grand Central. She looked at me intently, and there was a long, awkward pause. I simply said, "It was really good to meet you," and walked away. It's now 10 years later, and it was the only time in my life that an attractive woman has ever chatted me up. I have no regrets. My wife and family are wonderful. I went out one evening with a co-worker who had a boyfriend. We carpooled. She drove. As she's dropping me off at my apartment, she says, "Well, I could say I was too drunk to drive." To which I responded, "Okay, but I don't have anywhere for you to sleep." The look on her face was pretty priceless. I had a girl who was flirting with me at work. I let it go on for a couple days, then started flirting back one night with absolute certainty of it moving on to something more. She said so in pretty clear terms. I was getting no kind of attention other than being turned down at home. This was going on for several years, so I actually considered it. Instead, the next day I told my wife exactly what happened and that I was going to go to work that night and tell her nothing could happen and I wouldn't be talking to her anymore. I did that, and life went on until a little over a year later when my wife told me, on Christmas Day, that she was in love with someone else and moved out 2 days later. Been officially divorced since last month. But hey, at least I did the right thing. My dad and his college roommate have been best friends since freshman year of college, and to this day live within 100 yards of each other. They still go out for drinks together once a month. My dad has always been a good looking guy, but his friend, we'll call him Steve, is male model, panty dropping, 50 years old with an 8-pack, George Clooney level attractive. I'm a straight male, and even I can appreciate the aura around this man. Needless to say, whenever these two go out for drinks, it's inevitable that they have their opportunities with women. They are the kind of guys that thrive off social interaction, buying rounds of drinks for the whole bar, and meeting everyone they can. One day out in a New York bar, Anna Kournikova walks in with a small entourage. The night progresses, and somehow Anna ends up spending the majority of the night next to Steve at the bar, laughing at his stories, touching his arm and sucking down drinks. Right around closing time, she stares lustfully into his eyes, gives him a kiss on the cheek, hands him a hotel room keycard and whispers into his ear. Immediately Steve's eyes open wide, and a huge grin spreads across his face. Anna Kournikova promptly turns and leaves. My dad turns to Steve. "What did she say, man?" Still with a stupid grin, she told me where she was staying, and said to meet her in her room in half an hour. What? That's crazy. What are you going to do? I'm going to go home and tell my wife she just stole me away from Anna Kournikova. Huge respect for this man. TL. DR. Dad's friend turned down Anna Kournikova. Boss of the century. I may have a man crush. I went to a weekend concert series back in 2008 with a bunch of friends and one guy's girlfriend. They all went out drinking on one night, but I had some mild heat stroke from a day's worth of standing out in the heat and screaming at the top of my lungs. So I decided to take it easy and get some rest. I guess his girlfriend and him got in a fight because she ended up sticking around the hotel while they went out. She insisted on coming in, so I let her in and threw a movie on my laptop. We were half watching the movie and half talking until she pretty much decided to get on top of me and tried to make a move. I could have let that continue and for a split second actually thought about it, but instead I rolled her off and politely asked her to leave. She was a little persistent, so I became a little less polite, and eventually she became furious and stormed out. I went to bed, but not before making the bathroom ceiling very, very sticky, and the next morning it turns out that she left a note on her boyfriend's pillow and went home. They broke up shortly thereafter and I took a job back in my hometown, so I moved about 2 months later. I have a story. Relationship of 3 years. I go to a conference out of city, and while chilling out next to the pool, this European girl talks me up and begins flirting. Thinking it's good to make business contacts, I go with it and go with her for drinks. After the drink she asks me to go take a nap together. And that's when I was sure it wasn't just business and said yes, let's take a nap, and I went with her, only to say goodbye, it was nice talking to you, at her door. Then continue walking to my room, alone. Didn't cheat. Success. You did the right thing. She was going to sell you to those guys from Hostel. A few years back, my uni's volleyball team traveled to the mecca of all those unfaithful, Vegas. As the youngest member of our merry gang, it was up to me to follow the herd up and down the strip and make sure no one's lips became too parched from a lack of beer. It was our last night there, so we decided to meander through some of the more popular casino floors, snagging drinks from the flirtatious waitresses whenever possible. I had just sat down at an empty row of dollar slots when my captain drunkenly plops himself next to me. Apparently, our team's resident ladies man, who was in a relationship at the time of the tournament, had gone missing inside the Tropicana, and it was up to the lowly freshie to find him. I searched high and low, but after 30 minutes of wandering aimlessly, I needed a drink. I took the next exit I laid eyes on and ended up in the courtyard facing the pool. I spot a cabana on the other side advertising reduced drink prices to those who rent out one of their exotic poolside teepees. I stroll up to the bar anyway in hopes of snagging a late night Jack and Coke, only to see that the bartender has stepped away. Growing more frustrated by the second, I decide I want to see one of these VIP teepees for myself. As I step up to the flaps of the first tent in line, I hear voices. One male, one female. Be getting back. F1, no, please stay. How about another round? On me. F2, yay. How many people can say they had an orgy in Vegas? Strike that. 2 females. Ladies, I'm flattered. Really. But I have a girlfriend. I'm sorry. F3, PSHHH. Like that matters. You're in Sin City, baby. Just relax. Have some fun. Go get those drinks, Jess. I am in awe. 3 of them. 3. I hear the sounds of someone sliding off a bed and hitting the ground. No more drinks. You are all stunningly beautiful, but I would never be able to look myself in a mirror again if I cheated on my girlfriend. F. Are you seriously turning us down right now? Are you gay or something? I'm not gay. I'm in love. Good night, ladies. With that, my newfound hero steps out of the tent and immediately locks eyes with me. What the frick are you doing? Looking for you. But did you really just? Shut up. Not a word to anyone, you little crap. I smirked as I thought about how I would have handled the situation. We head back to the inside bar for a much needed nightcap. You're a much bigger man than me, Bubs. This one's on me. TLDR. Teammate goes missing in Vegas only to be found turning down a foursome with our hotel staff. Ball status. Brass. Manhood confirmed. I was with my now ex at the time. We went to this home party that had beers, vodka and all sorts of alcohol available. My ex passed out late at night and I carried her to her friend's bed. Her friend then comes to the room and attempts to tongue twister me and begins to unzip my jeans. I stopped her and told her no. Maybe about a month after that, my ex leaves me, starts dating a friend of mine, and they apparently had a threesome with said girl that tried to sleep with me at the party. TLDR. Sometimes being a good guy doesn't pay out. Dang it. Too true. I try and rationalize it by telling myself being good is its own reward. So about a year ago, I dated a girl whom I loved dearly. She was the hardest working girl I have ever met, working day in and day out on all kinds of projects, papers and tests. Naturally, this resulted in us not being able to spend a ton of time together, but for a while I made do, because I was so in love with her. On weekends she could never come to parties or hang, so I would go to parties with my buds and generally hang out and be satisfied with texting her. A few months in, I started to be bothered by the constant absence. I felt like she would always choose to take up a new project rather than spend time with me. When I would go to parties, I would, admittedly rather inebriated, talk to my friends about feeling neglected and gain console from them. At one party, when I was talking to a buddy of mine about my girlfriend cancelling yet another date, this other girl, curvaceous and hot as all heck, hopped in the conversation and started asking about it. I had noticed this girl around since before I even started dating my girlfriend, but never had really talked to her. Mid-conversation she called another one of her friends to join the conversation regarding my girlfriend. The four of us decided to do some shots and chill off the night. A dozen shots in, I decide enough is enough and tell everyone I'm going off to bed. As I'm drunkenly nodding off, I hear the two girls enter my room. One of them pulls her shirt off, whilst the other slips out of her clothes and puts on my sweatshirt that was lying on the floor next to the bed. They both crawl into the bed nigh completely nude and curl up into me, whispering into my ears and biting on my earlobes. I immediately realize that if I don't act, I will be cheating on my girlfriend with not one, but two girls. I hop out of bed, throw on my clothes, and run into the bathroom screaming, "I have a girlfriend, but both of you are beautiful." I lock the door and fall asleep in the tub. A month later, my girlfriend broke up with me. It was on good terms, and we are still great friends. When the two girls found, they each called. I ended up going on a date with, then fricked one, and becoming great friends with the other. Not cheating was the best decision of my life. TLDR. Felt neglected by girlfriend. Didn't cheat and have threesome. Everyone lived happily ever after. I'm female. I'm bi and I was very paranoid about men because of some really bad stuff that happened. I went out with my fiancé and another couple. The other chick kept buying me drinks and I got completely wasted. She pinned me up against the wall in the bathroom and kissed me and let her hands graze against me. I was confused, very drunk, and I thought she was just being stupid and drunk. She kept buying me drinks and then she tries to coerce me into fricking. I refuse. When I woke up the next morning and pieced the previous evening together, I was horrified and I was afraid of being blamed for her bad behavior. Nonetheless, I told my husband and her boyfriend what happened. I got married, the other couple broke up and all is well. TLDR. Women can be predators, too. I can attest to this as a male. I once was sitting on a couch at a party and a massive 300 pounds female decided to jump on top of me and lick my face and try to make out with me. I had to forcefully remove her off while screaming, "No and please get off me." That same GF was there witnessing the physical shaming and was on the ground laughing hysterically. I was throwing a party with a friend several years ago. It was pretty fun. Somewhere around 100 people or so. My girlfriend couldn't make it, but my other good friend, Rachel, could. We all proceeded to get good and very drunk, and me and Rachel were flirting constantly. At some point, I did remind her I had a girlfriend and couldn't do anything. TLDR. Woke up in bed with a guy while Rachel slept on the couch. I left the house. Did not cheat. Came home. Ked wife. GG Redditor. Went to a party at a friend's house. Had a few drinks. Went to crash in his guest room when the party was winding down. I should note my girlfriend at the time was on a family vacation. Anyways, some girl that was there who was supposedly a friend of my girl's walked into my room with no shirt or bra on and said she'd give me anything I wanted if I dumped my girl the next day. All I said was, "Get the frick out. I am trying to sleep." She walked across the hall into my friend's room. So everything went okay. I will never understand why people think this is an appropriate thing to do. Married for 24 years next month. Never cheated. Never will. 3 reasons really. I respect my wife. I respect myself and it is simply too much trouble for very little value. I do, however, constantly flirt and look. When I got married, I did not become someone other than myself. Obviously I like girls or I wouldn't have married one. That didn't stop. I like this response. I told my wife that she never had to worry about me cheating on her. I love her so deeply that just imagining how much it would hurt her brings tears to my eyes. GTG call the wife. This one time, at band camp, I didn't cheat. Instead I fell asleep and woke up with a huge hangover. I'm a girl who has a lot of guy friends. I have girlfriends too, but I grew up with brothers and I've always been comfortable around guys. I find it very easy not to cheat. What I think people ignore is the fact that cheating starts way before the actual act. People don't just fall into bed with someone they shouldn't. They start by harmlessly flirting. They giggle, they touch, they make suggestive comments. If you just focus on how nice this feels and the fact that you haven't done, and would never do, anything wrong, you're going to get in trouble. When I find a guy getting overly friendly, I start to end my sentences with buddy or dude and I move away without being rude. I make sure my eye contact is friendly, but not affectionate, not overly warm. If we're at a bar, I might say, "You ready for another drink, dude?" "No, I'll get it." Then when I come back, I hand it to him saying, "Here you go, bud," and sit farther away. I start a conversation about something not remotely romantic, not who I'm dating, because that can easily turn into more flirting. More like a TV show I like or what's going on at work. Usually, the guy gets the message and I get to keep my friend. It's no fun to flirt with someone who doesn't flirt back. Went to a convention in Nashville, went to a bar with some buddies afterwards. All of a sudden this absolutely beautiful woman walks in. Every man in the bar practically breaks their necks checking her out. I just kept telling myself, "I love my wife. I love my wife." Couple minutes go by and the bartender brings me a drink I didn't order. It was from her. Holy crap, so I meander over to her and spark up a conversation, all while intentionally flashing my wedding band. We were talking about life, what we did for a living, the usual bulls. Then she comes out and says, "I need to tell you something before this goes any further." Oh crap. WTF is it? She says, "Well, I'm 61 years old." This woman was stunning. No way in heck she's 61. So I ask for an id, and sure enough, she is. Then she says, "There's something else." Holy frick, what is it now? She says, "Ever hear of a sportsman's threesome?" Me, nope. She says it's a mother-daughter tag team. HOLEE frick. I thought to myself, if she's this hot, bro. So we get back to her house. She opens the front door and yells, "Hey ma, you awake?" Nice setup. Stick with me on this. I cheated when I was younger and broke a girl's heart. I was a young, stupid piece of crap. The positive part is that I vowed from then on never to cheat again, ever. A decade later and I haven't. I have a great girlfriend now who knows the story, and who is comfortable knowing I will never cheat on her no matter what. We have a great relationship. I also generally avoid talking to or making friends with women just for my own peace of mind. I can and do incidentally, but I'm not passing out compliments, asking for numbers, or following people on Facebook or etc. And everyone knows exactly that I'm taken for life. I wish I could go back and change things to save my distant ex pain. I really do. But wishes aren't real and some mistakes can never be fixed. I felt I suffered for a long enough time, years, getting to grips with what I threw away, and that the best I can do is say and make dang sure it will never happen again. Just to clarify, I don't feel I deserve anything because I don't feel strongly for people who were fricked up like drug addicts and later kicked the habit. Hey, why not just don't be a freaking butt and do drugs in the first place? But this isn't about who I was. This is about who I am today. When I hear guys talk about cheating on their girlfriends and wives, there are a lot of them. Almost everyone I can think of. It disgusts me and I just want to murder them. Their problem is they have never been caught and lost someone precious because of it. Freaking is nothing compared to long-term compatibility and companionship. Frick those guys. And frick the guys who complain about how terrible their girlfriend or wife is. 2. You make a great relationship or you're part of the problem. TLDR. Men exist who will never cheat on you for any reason, even if Emma Watson and Anne Hathaway walked in naked and asked for a threesome. How that man became a man might not be pretty, but it's a principle earned. A friend of mine was throwing a party at his house and wanted me to come. I told him I didn't know if I was up to it, so he tells me, "Hey, there will be girls there." I told him all the girls he invites are easy and hardly worth my time seeing how they will make out with, and in some cases, frick absolutely anybody. He sees this as an opportunity for a bet and says he will invite an attractive girl who he knows I will get nowhere with, and there's no way she will let me hold her hand, let alone get anywhere bare making out with her. I accept the challenge with $20 on the line. So he invites this gorgeous girl named Faye he works with, who has a reputation of being super cold to any kind of advances anyone has ever made on her. Me and her hit it off immediately. I lost the bet because I forgot to even attempt to make out with her, because I was wasted and so caught up in talking to her. We end up talking for hours every day, meeting up once or twice a week, etc. And I was falling for her hard. Anyways, 3 weeks after we first met, we go to a party at the same friend's house. And there's quite a lot of people there I know, and a few I haven't seen for a while, including 2 girls who always had a thing for me. I tell Faye I need to take a leak, since I'm pretty drunk at that point. While I'm in the bathroom ready to close the door, those 2 previously mentioned girls come in and ask if I need help. I say I've been P for 25 years. I'm not that drunk. I think I got it. The one girl sits on the toilet in front of me looking up at me and grabs my belt while the other closes and locks the bathroom door. No, she's wanting to know if you want us both to suck your dong. I politely decline, leave them both in the bathroom together and go back outside. Put my arm around my date and watch as the 2 bathroom-esque get in their car and leave the party. I was spending more time at work with a female colleague than at home with my girl. The colleague and I were supporting each other with stress at work, and it felt like I was having an affair because there was more time at work than at home. I told my girl it didn't feel right and I wanted to be closer to her. It was a helpful talk and we were able to get our relationship better in balance. This is how it should be. Guy notices something isn't right long before he crosses the point of no return, and then goes about fixing it instead of making a stupid mistake. Alas, I regret that I have but one upvote to give. Well, yesterday I was walking on campus and a girl was giving out free shampoo samples for whatever reason. She asked if I wanted one and I said no thanks. Then she said, well, you have such good looking hair. I thanked her and kept walking. Close call. I am proud of you, son. I feel like this happens all the time to people in relationships. For some reason it seems like people see a person being in a relationship as either a sign that they're dating material or as a challenge. Before being in a relationship, never got hit on a ton. After getting into a serious relationship, I've been hit on quite a bit. Half the time I'm oblivious and my fiance points it out. Would never cheat though. Just funny how some people think. I always thought of it as a confidence thing. If you're in a relationship, you're not really trying to impress people you're attracted to that much, which makes you seem like you don't care, which makes you seem confident and attractive. Probably not what you want to hear, but I've never been in the position to cheat, and it really baffles me how somebody could do it. Saying that, I'm quite a guilty person. I think my own actions through too much. My boyfriend goes to school 3,000 miles away, and even though he knows he has a free pass, so long as protection is used and he's honest with me, he's never taken it. I'm also positive that he's never done anything behind my back. He's my best friend and the most trustworthy guy I know. I adore him. I could cheat on my GF, but I don't because I like and love her. It really is just as simple as that. In college, I had been dating a chick for about a year. One night, I went to a frat party at another college with a buddy of mine. Met up with one of his female friends who I used to think was cute while I was single. We wound up drinking beers and just chatting it up about BS. Finally she asks me if I want to go outside and talk, and I obliged. She asks me point blank, so are we going to hook up tonight or what? It was pretty blunt, but I didn't want to screw up what I had, so I declined. Felt like I had passed some sort of test. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video.